Hello and welcome to Hot Money on Bloomberg Quint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. This is a show which gets you a complete wrap of all the stocks that are buzzing in trade. I am Darshan Mehta. Joining us on the show today are Brijesh Bhatia of Deal Money Securities, Amit Shah of Indiabulls Ventures, and independent market expert Rahul Randeria. Thank you to all of my guests for joining me on the show. Before we start with the show with our experts, let's go across to Yash Upadhyay, who has a chart on Narayana Rudale on his screen. Yash, what does this chart indicate? It's trading at record lows. Is there more potential downside?
Absolutely, Darshan. Good afternoon to you. So basically we are using the proprietary fear and greed indicator, and that one has turned positive, by the way. So let's first try and understand basically what it is. It is basically a measure of the spread between the two weighted averages of the true range, and it oscillates on a zero basis line. So when the value turns from negative to positive, the indicator flips its color from red to green, which we saw somewhere around the start of the month of November, and we saw the stock move from the levels of 220 to as high as 260 that day. But since then, around the end of the month, it flipped its color back to red, and then we saw a sharp decline, and now the stock is currently trading just around the 200 mark. Now with this, over the last 3 days, we've seen the stock moving up. We had some big volume based action coming a day or two back, and today also the stock is up about 0.5%, and with that the fear and greed indicator has flipped its color again into the green, so we could expect the stock to bounce from these current levels.
Okay, so that's the first stock that's been spoken about, and that is Narayana Rudale. Thank you so much for that. Yes, sure. Before I move on to the experts, if you backtrack this data, I forgot to ask you that, how much percent return would you have?
Right, Darshan. So on an average, every time that you went long when the indicator turned positive, it would have given you returns in excess of 4% over the next 1 month.
Okay, so that's the view that's coming in on Narayana Rudale. Let's ask our experts. Brijesh, what do you make of the stock?
The stock is still in a strong downtrend. Maybe a bounce, as Yash has indicated, can be a bounce towards 213, 214. But as of now, overall trends remains very bearish, and probably 160, 165 can be on cards for this stock.
Okay, so Brijesh won't take a bet on the stock. What about you, Amit?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with him. Stock is definitely in a downtrend. At best, you know, technical bounces do come in between, even in downtrends. So probably this is one of that kind of a period that where you can expect 220, 225 kind of zone, but nothing beyond that, I would say.
Okay, Rahul, what's your view on Narayana Rudale?
Yeah, I have the same view, because if we see the stock since the listing days, the stock has tendency to move sharply, maybe 10-15%. Again, you know, the momentum lose out and stock drifts away slowly and gradually. This has happened 5 times since the listing times. So currently the setup is into deep oversold territory. The volumes are not that much encouraging, but yes, definitely looking at the price pattern, how it behaves, I feel again from these levels stock can inch back to the levels of maybe 220 to 230 in short to medium term. So definitely for swing traders one can buy, but one should place a very strict stop loss below 185.
Okay, so that's the view that's coming in. It's basically a momentum play or a swing trade, nothing more than that. But most of our experts do believe that it's a stock that they would avoid at this point of time. Let's begin the show with Brijesh Bhatia, who has a chart on United Breweries. Brijesh, what is the indicator that you've used? Why are you bullish on the counter?
Okay, let's start with the weekly chart. So if you look at the weekly momentum, stock is trending in a strong bullish channel, or I would say a rising higher high, higher lows pattern. Okay, so if you look at the along with the price chart, if you look at the MACD, okay, it has given a positive crossover above the integer line. Integer line is generally above the 0. Okay, and look at the histogram. Okay, it is giving a positive momentum on the upside with crossover on averages. Okay, so if I just look at the history, a couple of times here when prices MACD has given a positive crossover above integer line with MACD increasing, prices rallied from a lower end of the channel to a higher end of the channel. Similarly, if I go over here, again a positive crossover, prices testing lower end to a higher end. So I am expecting similar formations to build over here, and probably a price can test higher end of the channel, which is around 1600 sort of levels. Okay, if you look at the daily charts, let us look at the daily charts first.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look at the daily chart, price has given a breakout of bullish pennant. So what is bullish pennant? Generally a rally and then there is a consolidation in form of triangle. Okay, so if you look at this triangle, price has given a breakout over here. Okay, and look at the rising volumes over here in the breakout levels. So I think clearly a price rise breakout along with the rising channel bullish trend. Stock is heading towards 1630, 1600 levels on the upside.
A couple of questions. Firstly, today it's not doing well. It has a red tick here.
Okay.
Would you buy at lower levels? Is that type of a strategy, or would you go all in at this level and keep a strict stop loss for a target of 1600?
You can add at current level also all in, and you can add on dips towards 1380 is the breakout retest level, and one can keep a stop loss of below 1350, which was the low. So I'm expecting a stop loss of around 1340, and one can look for a bullish trade. So if you look at this rally, it was around 1150 to around 1400 sort of level, so which was around 250 bucks. So if I just add over here the breakout level, it's come to around 1630, 1650 sort of level. So I'm targeting the whole move.
What's the time frame that if someone is looking to invest right now, if they're looking to buy at 1394, if they're buying now, how much time before this breakout trade actually happens? How long should they hold?
At least 3 to 4 weeks for these momentum.
So probably till the next series is something that you can. Is this a high risk, high return trade or a low risk, high return?
It can be a low risk trade because it's clearly a breakout, and if you look at the weekly chart, it's clearly trending in a bullish zone. So I am just placing a stop loss below these triangle formation.
Okay, so that's the view on United Breweries. Thank you so much for that, Brijesh. Amit, what do you make of United Breweries? Are you as bullish?
Yeah, I'll completely agree. I mean, this is a stock which, out of the mid-cap space has been showing very, very strong relative strength to the overall broader consolidation and weakness in the sector, And this stock is just 2 to 3% away from its all-time highs. So I won't be surprised testing its all-time highs of about 1460 and even, breaching that. So I would expect once the all-time highs are tested and broken on the upside, I think a minimum of 1500 what I would
No. Would you buy now or would you buy once the all-time high?
I would actually go ahead and buy the stock.
Okay, Rahul, would you buy United Breweries at these levels?
Yeah, definitely, Darshan. As we look at the overall chart on the larger degree, the stock has been, as discussed earlier, that it has been moving in a rising channel, again a peanut breakout, and the angle from the levels, the stock has moved from the levels of 800. The angle of degree of the uptrend was maybe more than 65 degree. So definitely any correction from current level, because already last 4 days it has rallied. So I feel it would be an ideal to enter around the level of 1370 to 1380. On the immediate basis, maybe into next 2 to 3 weeks, I feel that stock can test the levels of 1470 on the upside.
Okay, so it's a consensus 3 thumbs up that's coming in on United Breweries. So that's the second stock that we discussed. Move on to the next stock, and that is Cummins India. Amit, you have a chart on it.
Sure.
Let's discuss what this chart indicates. Why are you bullish? What is the indicators that you've used?
Sure. So last time also the Cummins was covered, and that time I was anticipating this kind of a move, though it took some time to materialize, but eventually now it has broken out of the weekly inverse bullish head and shoulder pattern. So it's a nice reversal pattern into the overall long-term uptrend. So last time it was about sub 800 rupees, but I think now also there's a confirmation and one can actually go ahead and buy the stock. Have a target of first 920 and then 950 on the stock.
Okay.
So there are 2 ways to look at it. One, on the weekly, there's a good inverse head and shoulder pattern, and also if you look at the smaller time frame, it has given a nice flag breakout in the near term. So it's a confluence of the overall weekly bullish bullish development along with the near term bullish flag. So it gives a good entry point into the uptrend basically.
So 920, 950, what level will you buy? It's 960 currently or 957.
Yeah.
Let's assume 960. Would you buy at 860.
Yeah.
Would you buy at 860 level, or would you wait for a correction to come in?
No, I would buy here also, and maybe even a small dip towards 840, 845 is good enough for the entry point. See, once the consolidation is given up after such a long time, generally you don't tend to wait, because then the up move, you have a risk of kind of missing the up move as well. So I would go ahead and actually buy the stock. The stop loss is not too far away. It's 824 is the stop loss, and I'm expecting 920 to 950 levels on the upside.
Okay, so that's a bullish call that's coming in. Thank you so much for that,
thanks.
Amit. Rahul, are you bullish on Cummins India?
Yeah, the trend is also positive. Momentum is building up. The volumes are also on the supportive side, but it is just nearing it to its resistance area of 866. I feel that the stock has potential to break those levels. On immediate basis, I feel that stock can test the levels of 907. So traders can buy at current levels with a stop loss below 830.
Okay, so similar type of stop loss, 824 was the stop loss that Amit spoke about. Brijesh, what's your view on Cummins?
Yeah, definitely a long bet, but I would slightly enter at around 830, 835 sort of zone where it has given a breakout of around 26 months falling trend line. So that might retest, and I think might resume the uptrend. So I would be long at around 830, 840.
So what would your stop loss be? Because their stop losses are near
790.
Okay, so you have a much
slightly lower stop loss, but I'm expecting a target of around 940, 950 on the upside in coming weeks.
So I think it's a consensus thumbs up, at least, that comes in from Cummins. I think the entry points differ. What our guests say that you should buy it on declines. So that's the trend, but I don't think there's any negative kind of view that's coming in on Cummins India. So that's the third stock that we spoke about. Let's get in the fourth stock that we spoke about, and that's the big boy Reliance itself. Rahul, you have a chart on Reliance. What is the indicator? Explain why you bullish on Reliance.
Yeah, as we see, the stock is forming a symmetrical triangle, and it is the trend seems to be overlapping into the particular thing.
Okay.
Now it is on the verge of a breakout. Definitely, the RSI is also on the buy side. Volumes are slowly and gradually picking up. Once a stock breaks this 1125, we could see a sharp move from the current levels. So definitely Reliance is a buy at current levels, even on the dips, with a stop loss below 1062. On the upside, I feel the stock can test the levels of 1207, which is a gap area somewhat around these levels. So definitely Reliance is a buy at current levels.
At current levels, and what's the stop loss you said?
1062.
1062. So till that time, is it more of a positional trade?
Yeah, it is.
Because the reason I'm asking is you said this is on the verge of a breakout, right? Because usually when breakout happen, the move is pretty steep at this point of time. So is it something that someone should buy as a positional, or should they buy all in at this level?
Yeah, definitely. As we see, the Reliance is a heavyweight, so it impacts on the index also.
Yeah.
And index is also poised for a breakout, means inching towards a high level of 11,000. So it would go slow and gradual, but it is just facing a lot of resistance at those levels. Yeah. So definitely in a slow and staggered manner one can buy, but one should buy at current levels also.
But my only thing is, if I'm observing it, this line always it's faced resistance and it's corrected. What gives you the confidence that this will be broken on the upside and not come down?
Yeah, if you'll see here, small shadow, it rallied. Again hammer, small shadow, it rallied. Now there are multiple shadows here, here, and here. This is an indecisive candle because it is on the verge of breakout. It will take some time, but definitely at this point of time one should buy.
Okay, that's the view that's coming on Reliance. Thank you so much for that, Rahul. Brijesh, Reliance, would you buy 1112?
No, I would just wait for a breakout to come because if you look at this, since October, it has been hovering around its 200 days average. We have seen multiple times, at least 4 to 5 times that stock tests 200 and gives a rally on the upside. But this time, the rally has been slightly on the narrow side. So I would wait for a clear-cut breakout on the triangle on the either
side. What's your breakout point?
1130.
1130. So you'll buy only above 1130. Yeah. And once that is broken, what kind of targets?
I'm expecting around 1210 on the upside, and one can keep a stop loss of slightly below 1100.
Amit, which strategy would you follow? Rahul strategy buy now or buy at a later?
No, I would actually wait for a breakout to happen because see, it's a symmetrical triangle. It could it is also possible it breaks down. As well, that's also a possibility, So I would actually wait for a breakout and at least wait for
about what level?
Above 1125.
Okay.
Yeah, and just wait for at least an hourly candle to close towards the highs. Only then I'll actually go ahead and buy the stock. Actually, on the similar lines, even the Nifty is also in a symmetrical triangle. So probably, the larger move may come in along with the breakout in the Nifty as well, because Nifty is also poised for a sharp 400-500 points kind of an up move. Either direction it happens, possibly on the upside, but we'll have to wait and watch for it.
Okay, so that's the view that's coming in on Reliance Industries. I think this time around, not the perfect consensus, but nevertheless, I think no one's talking about a bearish bet. But two of our guests believe that they will wait only above a breakout. 1125 is what Amit said, and 1130 is what Brijesh said. Rahul says buy at this level also. So that's something that you need to watch out for in trade for Reliance. And remember, Reliance is a heavyweight on the Nifty, and if Reliance rallies, there could be a potential upside on the Nifty also. That's also what's been indicated. Let's begin with the second round now. Starting with again Brijesh this time around. He has a chart on Manappuram Finance. Let's have the chart up, Brijesh. Why are you bullish on Manappuram?
Okay, so this is the weekly chart. I am taking from a longer period from around 2013. So if you look at the price, it has been clearly in the uptrend. Okay, so if I just join 2013 and around 2015 lows, okay, the price has slightly above the rising trend line. So it clearly indicates the stock is still in the bullish trend and not the bearish trend. We have seen some selling pressure from around 120 to around 70 sort of levels. But now if you look at these trend falling trend line, it clearly defines that the price is broken on the higher side, upside, and this trend is still intact. So in case there was a downside, prices should have broken on the downside. But looking at the recent momentum on the weekly chart, so prices given a breakout above the falling trend line at around 90 to 93 levels. So I think one should look at a bullish bet now, which clearly confirms that the trend is now bullish. And if you look at the MACD has given a positive crossover. Histogram has now moved above the integer line into the positive territory. So I am think breakout would support the bullish weekly chart, and one can look targets of 110 also on this stock.
110, how fast can that come?
Maybe around 3 to 5 weeks.
3 to 5 weeks. And what's the strict stop loss?
I would place a stop loss below the last week low, which was around 91.50.
Okay, 91.50. So it's a very strict stop loss. I think this is more like a swing trade, something like that.
Yeah, you can look at swing trade,
like a positional trade.
I would slightly look for a positional trade with the stop loss of previous low, because it has given a breakout close about the rising trend, falling trend line as well.
So what would be your ultimate target? Because I'm seeing you're taking data from 2013. It can't be a 10 rupee move that you would play for. So ultimately, if you plotted this, what's your ultimate target?
Ultimate target could be around 145 rupees.
Okay.
So it would take around 6 to 8 months also.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for that. Brijesh, what's your view? Amit, would you buy Manappuram?
I would buy Manappuram. I'm positive on it, but I'll look for the dips to actually go long on the stock. So somewhere around 91, 91.50 is the kind of zone that I would actually initiate the trade for, targets of about 105 to 107.
Okay, that's a bullish call that's coming in. What about you, Rahul?
Yeah, even I will look out for some sort of cool off, because already stock has given a breakout around 93, and it could again retest those levels. But definitely at 93 one can buy, but one should trade with a strict stop loss below 89. Upside target would be 106.
Okay, so similar kind of higher targets coming in on Manappuram Finance. Let's talk about the next one. And PSU banks have been in focus over the last few days, and one of the outperformer has been SBI. Amit has a chart on SBI. Amit, let's explain the chart. Why are you bullish on it?
Okay, yeah. So what we are seeing here is a monthly chart of SBI. It's been in a long consolidation, and it's more of a flat consolidation. Now, if you see, most of the PSU banks have a very, very weak chart, and relatively, yes, there are some stocks which in the near term may appear outperforming SBI, but overall the structure, if you see, this is a very, very bullish chart, I would say, for the long term, and I think a much bigger move is likely to unfold going ahead. So SBI has a very, very flat kind of a sideways chart, and this is like multi-year chart. So and a nice up move here, then a very tight consolidation. It says that a bigger move is likely to unfold, and indications are that probably this time the stock might just it did try here as well. And it did broke into a new high and again went into consolidation. But the way the setup is, considering the preceding move, it is very much likely that this time a fresh new breakout could well be just on the corner.
Why do you say that?
Yeah, and can we just see the near-term chart, please? Yeah. So, in the near-term chart as well, what we are seeing is a ascending triangle, and yesterday we had a breakout above that. So, just for the trading purpose, it shows, a move towards 320 plus. And 330 to 350 is the region of that monthly trend line that we are seeing. And overall, banking itself is doing very well. Banking is just some 2% away from its all-time high. So anyway, the sector is outperforming. Within the sector, PSU banks are showing more sustainable moves. Stock like Union Bank, they are showing good bullish reversals on weekly and monthly charts. So overall, the sector is setting up for a much sustainable move. Previously, what we used to see was, just based on news, very temporary kind of moves used to come in PSU banking. But this time it looks more sustainable, and I think a larger move is unfolding.
So my question here is that you expect that 330, 350, but the point is it did manage to. This is the daily chart.
This is the 60-minute intraday chart.
So it managed to break about this level, but it's not had a breakout trade as such. So what makes you think? And it's cooled off from here.
Correct.
What makes you think a breakout trade can happen? And the big chart that you put from 2007, that also indicates a range.
Correct.
What made you think that that breakout can happen?
The larger picture is relatively very bullish compared to the lot of PSU banks. While a lot of other PSU banks have a vertical, a sharp fall, whereas State Bank has a very sideways kind of a correction, which tells you that inherent strength in the stock. And when you see the larger picture, bullish larger picture, and the near-term bullish developments happening, that is actually a good confluence of the different time frames, and it gives you more confidence of actually going long into the stock.
Okay, so that's the view on SBI. Thank you so much for that, Amit. Brajesh, SBI, would you buy at this level, 304?
Yeah, purely for a momentum based, yes, I would look for around 315. So if you look at the whole PSU basket, we have already seen slow and steady accumulations been happening. SBI was unable to cross 300 sort of levels. Every time it faced resistance around 298, 299 and fall back to around 290. So I think we have already seen short coverings coming in 300 calls in last couple of days. So definitely from momentum based trade, 312, 315 could be the target. On positional base, as he has mentioned the chart, 323, 324 could be a major resistance zone for SBI to cross.
Okay, what about you, Rahul? What's your view on SBI? Would you buy?
Yeah, Darshan, the stock and the prices are nicely placed above its moving averages, short term as well as long term. The stock has been a tendency of consolidating, gives a breakout, again it comes back. So definitely I will wait for some cool off. Maybe the ideal range to enter in the SBI would be around 295 to 290. On the upside, I feel that because the movement of the stock is slow and gradual. So definitely I am expecting a target of maybe 333, but it will take 4 to 6 weeks. But for short-term investment, I am definitely bullish on the stock. Wait for some cool off, 295 to 290, buy with a stop loss below 270 for the target of 333.
Okay, so that's the view that's coming in on SBI, and the final stock that we want to discuss, at least from our guest and before Yash comes in again, is MCX. Rahul, if you can come in and we can have the chart. What's the chart? Which parameter have you used?
Yeah, Darshan, if we see again from the larger degree, from February itself, the stock has been moving in a expanding triangle. Recently, after the transaction tax levied on the MCX trading, so definitely after maybe 4 months of consolidation, the stock is on a breakout. It is on the midway of the range. So from current levels, one can accumulate from the levels of 750 and maybe 725. Stop loss should be just around 705. On the upside, I am expecting the target of 832. Now, these are the targets. But definitely, if you look at the RSI, it is moving higher tops, higher bottoms. Again, it is just means playing with moving averages, and it is on a buying board. It would take some time, but definitely for investment, it is looking good. And larger degree trend seems to be very positive. So I feel that again in next maybe 2.5 years, the stock has potential to test the levels of maybe 1,000.
Okay, fair enough. That's the view that's coming on MCX. Brajesh, would you buy MCX?
No, I would slightly wait for confirmation, because if you look at the volume and RSI, they are not supporting as of now the breakouts. I would slightly wait for a break consolidation move above 755, 760, and then probably look for enter with the stop loss of around 728.
Okay, and Amit, what's your view on MCX? Would you buy?
Not too positive, frankly. Yes, a trading move towards maybe, once it sustains, today is actually, it is attempting a breakout. So, while it sustains this move above 755 something, yes, a move towards 780 is definitely possible. But overall, I think the structure is not that great for a larger degree up move, at this point of time.
Okay, so that's the view that's coming in on MCX. And before we end the show, let's bring in Yash again. Yash, which is the chart that you have?
Afternoon, Darshan. So one more chart, and this time it's on Britannia. And again, we are looking at the proprietary trender indicator now. The stock is trading at about 3,090 rupees, which is very close and within the 1% range of the trender line. So the stock has been very sensitive to the trender. The last time that it flipped its color to red, we saw the stock fall from the levels of almost 3,400 to as low as 2,600. Since then, the trender flipped its color to green. It does so when the stock manages to close above the mark of the trender line, and then we saw a swift recovery. But then again, for the last few trading sessions, the trender line has been very flat, suggesting that if the stock manages to close below the trender line, which is at the mark of about 3,065, so which is very close to its today's low point. So should it manage to close below that level, the trender would flip its color, and we could expect for the downside coming into Britannia.
Okay, and what's the history like last time these things happened?
So Darshan, all of the 8 times that the indicator has turned negative, you would have got positive returns on an average of more than 4% over the next 1 month.
Okay, 4% on a large stock like 4,000, that's decent enough.
And all 8 times.
Okay, all 8 times. That's the view that's coming in. Brijesh, Britannia, it's not hit the trender mark yet. It says that, if it goes below a certain level, then only. What should you do? Would you sell at this level? You have a positive view or you have a negative view?
For momentum based, yes, definitely a rising trend line has been breached on the downside. So I would look for a sell trade at around 3120, 3130, and look for around 2980 as a target with the stop loss of 3170.
Okay, Amit, your view on Britannia?
Yeah, I think it possibly could drift towards 3040, 3020 kinds of a zone. So yes, in the near term, just for the short term trade, I would look for a drift on the downside.
Okay, and Rahul, finally, what's your view on Britannia?
Yeah, definitely the rising channel has broken down, but being the stock being from the consumption space, I don't think so major crack could be seen, because the stock has always maintained the level of 200-day moving average. So definitely any correction from current levels, if anybody wants to short for maybe couple of days, then it's okay. But for the players who wants to invest, so definitely a 200-day maybe in the range of 3,010, 3,000, one can accumulate for long term. But yes, definitely one could see some sort of downside from current level.
Okay, many thanks for that. So that's the view that's coming in on Britannia at this point of time. But with that, it's a wrap on today's edition of Hot Money. Thank you to all of my guests, Rahul, Brijesh, Amit. Thank you so much for coming into the studio and helping our viewers with the right technical indicators and with reasons why you should do that. Ask BQ comes up next. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint.